little scared after hearing all that. What are you talking about? As she mentioned, my name is Rick Hughes. I'm from the Cincinnati area. And when Carl reached out to me and said that I want you to come talk to the next generation of leadership, I said without hesitation or reservation, of course, yes. This is what I was born to do. This is what I was put on this planet to do because I have an absolute passion to speak into the lives of the next person. See, oftentimes in life, I grew up in the inner city of downtown Cincinnati, suburb, well not suburb, but the projects, yes. Okay, you see how I was trying to fix that? Grew up downtown Cincinnati in Lincoln Courts. And being in that environment, not a lot of people had opportunities for success. I've seen many of individuals become overwhelmed with the complexities of life and they just gave in, became complacent, comfortable in a lackluster situation. But thankfully I had people point into my lives, be it from a institutional standpoint where I would go to different churches, I would have different coaches, different individuals in our community or outside or just schools that would pour into my life and let me know that there was something more for me. See, once I realized that, I said I can never go back to being the same that I once was, once I was opened up to the one new idea. Some of you may have heard this book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Absolutely love that book. If you haven't read it, you need to take the time to read it. It's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And in this book, it talks about the journey that every individual must take in order to fulfill your divine mandate. You see, because it's not just the arrival at the destination that's important, it's the journey itself that builds character in you. See, oftentimes we stop and think that I want to be over there. Well, it takes the process. There's a level of maturation that must happen in order for you to reach that goal. There's one quote within this book, have to repeat it. It says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. That means when you set your mind upon a focus, every force within the cosmos will work on your benefit to make sure that that comes to pass. See, as you mentioned, I played basketball over 15 years. Basketball became the vehicle for me that propelled me to be on a different platform than I'm on now. You see, when you stop and think about it, I've had a multitude of coaches. Played professionally for 15 years, played 4 in college, played in high school as well. So that's a lot of individuals as well as trainers and coaches that helped me along the way. Some good, some not so good. Regardless of their professional acumen, I took something away from each individual that I would be able to put into my arsenal to become the person I was destined to be. So while I'm here now, I'm just going to give you a few points to ponder. It's not going to be before you long. I recognize the shifts are moving. But hopefully you get something from this. And all the points that I'm going to talk about, they all start with a P. So hopefully the alliteration causes for easy memory recall. All right? The first point that I want to talk to you about, purpose. Purpose. Why are you on this planet? Why are you here? And I'm not talking about at KDM or in Cincinnati, state of Ohio, USA. No. Why are you still breathing? Why are you being seen and not viewed? I don't know if you caught that. If I can see you, you can see me. If you're being viewed, your journey is over. When you stop and think about that situation, everyone has a purpose. Ralph Waldo Emerson has a quote that speaks to that capacity. He says, the purpose of life is not to be happy, but it's to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make a difference that you have lived and that you live well. See, oftentimes in life when we go through, I have people ask me, Rick, how do you understand your purpose? How can I identify it if it comes to me? Two things that will help you to identify your purpose. First and foremost, what do you have a passion for? What do you enjoy? What do you wake up in the morning just shaking because you get to do it all day long? What do you take delight in? See, because the moment you find your passion, that's something that's giving you an indication of what your purpose on this life is for. Find out the next step, what are you good at? You see, growing up in the inner city, we didn't have a lot of money. So we just knock on people's doors and we just go outside and play. And after we got done playing whatever sport was available at that season, we would sit down and talk. And I don't mind telling you, I like to talk. More specifically, I like to argue. That was my passion. Whatever you say, I'm just playing the devil's advocate. I just want to prove you wrong because, you don't have much in the inner city. You want to be right somehow. So I just wanted to prove a point. Then I found out that being an argumentative person has a negative connotation. No, I don't want that on my label. So then I said, well, I like to debate. Try to clean it up some. Then I realized that debating still somewhat in that limbo stage. So then I said, well, I like to counsel. Maybe I like to persuade. But as I got older, I realized that being a consultant, now I'm bringing value to you, whatever situation you may be in. If you can find what you have a passion for, If you can find what you enjoy doing, what you're good at, those are two foundational blocks for your next level of your purpose. First one, purpose. Second one, principles. See, as a life coach, I was talking to as a life coach, you have to live by a certain code of conduct. There has to be a creed that you live by. You see, every company, KDM included, you all have SOPs, standard operating procedures, the outline, the routine, the schedule that you must follow in order for this business to be effective. Each person in this room, you have to have your own SOPs for life, your standard operating procedures. Because when you stop and look at it, what a principle is, quick definition, your principles are the well-defined points of criteria that help you to have direction, motivation, and focus. Every individual in this room on this planet needs direction, motivation, and focus. I like to do a lot of reading. I don't know if you're familiar with the book Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Right around chapter 6, Alice is talking. She's trying to get her direction. She's talking to the Cheshire Cat in the tree. She's trying to find out where she's going. He said, "Where are you going?" She said, "I don't know." And he's become renowned for this paraphrase quote when he says, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there." See, the thing is, in life, you have to have some principles that will keep you structured, that will keep you in a regimented fashion, so that when you believe that you're getting off course, as long as you're living by your principles, it may not look like it, but you're still on track. See, when you stop and think about principles, your principles that you adhere to, they should make a positive change in your life. Those principles that you have, they should pretty much improve or develop a skill, a talent, or an ability. They should challenge a habit or an existing habit. They should either formulate one or change one. Most importantly, the principles that you have, they should help you to realize your dream. See, when you stop and think about the concept of principles, they're the compass or the GPS for your level of success. As long as you have those in place, you're on your way. When you think about principles, everybody's going to have their own set, because the principles are cut to the continuity of who you are as a person. They will never be the same. Mine is not yours. Yours will not be mine. Everybody's different, depending on what we're trying to accomplish. But these three principles, everybody on the planet you have to have it. It's a must within your arsenal. That first principle, it needs to be clear and easily identified. Whatever your principle is in life has to be clear and easily identified. You see, oftentimes when we go through life, we're trying to sit there and figure out what's best. If you know that there's a mountain in front of you, are you going to go over it, under it, around it, or through it? Without a clear line of demarcation of what you're going to be the next process, it's going to be hard to accomplish it. That next goal that you need to have, you have to know what's important to you and what's not. You have to find out the essentials for your life. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense, why go through it? If there's no relevance. Oftentimes in life, we major in the minor and minor in the major. We put more significance on things that really don't matter in life. Pastor Francis Chan had a quote, shocked me when I heard it. But he says, our greatest fear in life should not be of failure, but of succeeding at things in life that really don't matter. I'm amazed at this technological age that we live in. I'm not on social media outside of LinkedIn. I have email. Just to give you a point on that, my email address is rhughes35@juno.com. I don't want to hit no left. Juno, stopped about 98. And somebody, I see your face. I'm not going to look at you because I see you over there laughing at me. I gave my email address to somebody. They say, excuse me? I said, you heard it right, and I'm proud of it because I'm consistent. We talking about last decade, 1999. My cell phone number's been the same since 1999. So people say, are you on Snapchat? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Twitter? I say, who? Who? I said, if you knew me then, you know me now. If you know how to contact me way back, 15, 16 years, I'm still reachable. But when I hear different people talk about Facebook, they talk about so-and-so unfriended me. What? We aren't friends in reality. How can you unfriend me? When you hear people, I've heard so many different athletes, Rick, man, I got 2 million followers. What? I wouldn't follow you across the street because our principles don't align with each other. You see, we worry about things that really don't matter, and we have to be careful about that. Third principle that you have to have. Everybody in this room, you need to learn to value you. That sounds simple. That's the price of gas coming here today. If you don't learn anything else, learn to value you. Author Scott Peck, this is what he stated about it. He said, until you learn to value yourself, you won't value your time. Until you learn to value your time, you won't do anything with it. You see, time is the most precious treasure we will ever have. And only you can dictate where that time is spent. It's 86,400 seconds in a day. I refuse to give 5 to something that don't matter. Somebody start talking about something, okay. You got my email address, it's RU35. Email me that. And then I'll scan it and get on about my business, because at the end of the day, life is precious. We're always moving. We can never go back 10 seconds. I gave you 10 seconds of my life that I'll never receive again. How dare you steal that from me? Find out what your purpose is. Value yourself. Purpose, principle. Third P, position. Now, position is twofold. When you deal with position, talking about your state in life. You see, I grew up in church, and there was always a statement that I would hear. There was a certain portion of service, and they would say, it's testimony service. That's when you talk about the goodness of God, you would pontificate about his greatness, and somebody would stand up and say, I may not be where I should be, but I thank God I'm not where I was. See, it sounded good because it was a church atmosphere, but then I realized I had to start to challenge that thought the older I got, because it's well-intentioned, but it's flawed. Who can definitively state that they're not where they should be? How will you ever know that you're not exactly where you are? You see, because from a spiritual perspective, Psalms 37 chapter says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. So it believes that God walked out your steps. That's the spiritual side. But I recognize that not everybody's going to understand or appreciate that principle from the spiritual side. But noted scholar Deepak Chopra, he says, in life, there are no accidents. There is only some purpose we haven't yet understood. No matter what you're facing, everything that you've gone through, wrestled with, had to walk through, had to fight out of, it will prove for your benefit if you don't quit. Because everything lines up for your purpose. That's the benefit we have. See, as a person, as a husband, as a father, as a man, as a friend, as a coach, I realize that I have to learn to appreciate my past. See, sometimes people say, man, I don't want to go back. I often go back and revisit my past, because I always like to slide to the side and realize that's where I used to be. Look at the growth. See, it's the distance. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Look at where I once was, migrate up 3 years later. Look at me 6 years ago. Look, when I look back, I like that person because that person helped this person. Because we're all interconnected in this thing. You see, when I realize we have to appreciate our past because it helps to formulate who we are right now, most importantly, you need to embrace your current situation. I don't care how much money you got in the bank. I don't care what you drove up in. I don't care how much money you make here. Embrace your current situation because it's forever changing. Never to be the same again. People always say, man, I can't wait till I turn 18. I'm going to go ahead and go to college. I'm going to leave this house. I can't wait till I turn 22. Graduated from college. I can't wait till I turn 25. I should be ready to get married. I can't wait till I turn 30. I'm going to have some kids. I can't wait till I get 40. Kids almost out the house. I can't wait till I get... You constantly waiting. Are you enjoying anything that you're going through? Right. You can never sit here and... Listen, I'm a businessman, so I have a level of foreshadowing. I want to find out where my business is going to be in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. I will always have a plan for success. But I realize I must embrace where I am right now. Somehow you got to find a reason to just shake a little bit, have a little fun, dance with yourself, laugh with yourself, have a little fun, because life is hard enough. When you stop and think about that one, the last thing you need to do, prepare for your future. If you don't have a plan for success, you're planning to fail. If you don't write things down, a lot of times, if you get it in pencil and pad, see, if it's just a thought, it's a hope, it's a dream, it's a wish. When you write it, it's a plan, it's a schedule, it's an outline. Because you put in your work, grab that number 2 pencil or that big pen, take it out your ear, scribble it down. I plan on doing this and that, this and that. Now you got something that's easily identified for what you want to do. The second portion of that position deals with your job. She's a coach. I'm a coach. I was a player coach when I was over in Europe. It got to the point I went overseas. I was 38 years old, putting in work, having fun. But the coach called me over the summer and said, I got a project for you. He was a 19-year-old guy getting prepared to go to the league. He was like my son. When I went to the weight room, he went to the weight room. When I ate, he went to go eat. Whenever I would go, he was right there like he was my son. I said, boy, it was just funny. Because he was like, Rick, where you going? Where you going? Because he said, I need to learn from you. His project, they sent him to that team because they knew I was there. My job was to get him better. My job was to prepare him to be the person that he was supposed to be. He got better. But at the end of the day, my position as a coach never changed. I was a coach on a collegiate level. So I know what it's like to deal with different guys with different mind frames of life. We clean it up. Different mind frames of life and how they thought. I know what it's like to be a life coach for executives, professionals, ministers, married couples. I know it's a thankless job. I know what you're doing here sometimes can be thankless. You don't get the pat on the back, the handshake, pretty much the embracing of job well done. Sometimes in life, you don't get the affirmation, affection, appreciation, adoration that you deserve. I've been there. But the point is, you can always get two things, because these two things you can get, you dictate if you get them. Information, revelation. Information is the new data I can get just based off applying myself in some capacity. But the revelation comes based off how I apply that new information in my life. It's a new look. It's a new thought. It's a new change for me. You're forever learning. Always get that information. I don't care what your stage is in life. Purpose, principles, position. The last one, peace. Take a deep breath.
I know that's right.
Life is too hard to go through this thing crazy. I tell you, I'm gonna take a deep breath. I tell my wife all the time, we laugh. I go to work at 8:30, 9:47, I'm going for a walk. Why? Because I'm celebrating me. I made it 1 hour and 17 minutes on my position, and I'm still alive. Somebody lost it. I'm still sane, I'm still happy. You have to find some peace. You see, the first 15, 20 minutes of your day allows you to format how you're gonna be for the rest of this 24-hour period. You see, I wake up, I listen to something motivational, something psychologically uplifting, because I have to get myself together. Because he who meets anything positive early can meet anything else negative later. There's a time and a place for it. My kids, Daddy, RJ, you in my time right now. This is my zone. I'm daddy, yes, but I'm a man first. I'll talk to y'all in a minute. Give me 15, 20. Let me go downstairs and get prepared so when I walk downstairs, I can put on a different hat. What's going on down here? Let me go ahead and be daddy. But right now, I'm a brother that just woke up and I need some peace. Why? You see this, KDM? She was talking about the Dream Makers program. We're all part of it. Whether I work here or not, we're all a part of making that dream happen. But it's sort of hard to make a person live a dream when you're living and experiencing a nightmare. You have to find peace to get you settled in a place of consistency, day by day. One of the motivational speakers that I absolutely love, Wayne Dyer, he has a quote, you may have heard it, it's worth repeating in this setting. It says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I'll repeat that. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. See, in life, your perception is your reality. How you choose to look at a situation will dictate your next course of action. You see, if you go through life in a negative, cynical, pessimistic fashion, your glass, regardless of what you have, will always be half empty. You will never have enough. Irrespective of the money in the bank, regardless of who you're married to, where you work, what you look like, what you do, you'll never have enough because you're operating from a defeated standpoint. I don't have it. You're deficient in some way or another. But when you choose, there's an option. When you choose to be positive, hope-filled, and optimistic, your cup is always half full. That means you can put me in a desert of 120 degrees with an 8-ounce glass of water, and I guarantee I'm gonna make it out to the other side. Why? You have to have that sense of being positive. Newsflash, people. You may have never known this. Newsflash. In life, there's no such thing as good news or bad news. No such thing as good news or bad news. There is only information and how you choose to act on that information. Quick example. A company came to 2 men. We're about to downsize. Here's your option. We're going to give you 4 months severance pay. But after that time frame, your time here is over. One individual, they got comfortable, complacent, scared to make a career change, ready to jump out the window, because what am I going to do without this company? They supplied me for the last 20 years. Another individual take that same information and say, woo, I was looking for my startup money, I didn't have it, they offered me 4 months and I can go to work right now, I'm about to move. How do you take it in? Is what happens. See, as we get ready to close this, we're about to shut this thing down, then we got to have the next session. But what I want to tell you is this, whatever your pursuits are in life, I got your purpose. As you go through the purpose, establish the principles that are necessary for you to fulfill your purpose. Wherever you are, embrace your position because it's what makes you unique. Once you understand that, find your sense of peace. Our last quote for this session. I want this to be your charge for the rest of your life. It comes from German philosopher, poet, scholar, Friedrich Nietzsche. He says, "He who has the why to live can bear almost any how." You see, when I got to a point, I found out that my life wasn't enough for me. I found my why. I didn't know where it was coming, but I found my why. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I found my why. I didn't know when it was going to take place in my life, but I found my why. You see, life will get hard, life will be a struggle, but it's just a maturation process. You will go through the pushing, the pulling, the lifting, the dropping, the stretching, the squeezing, the process to become who you're destined to be. But I challenge everybody in the room. When you go home, whether you do it now in the mirror, you go home in your bathroom, your personal life. Look yourself in the mirror. Dig down deep and find your why. And let the world know you're alive.